Aircraft. Hover over Structure and select the Aircraft sub-menu option. The aircraft data file contains all the information related to the aircraft and forms the basis of most other activities in the application. The information contained in this file is flexible and highly configurable and should be accurately maintained. Aircraft files are structured in a main parent section, containing basic information and a number of component child records linked to the main file. Various levels of access can be assigned to the aircraft page, depending on the requirements and to protect sensitive data from accidental modification. Components. All aircraft must have the default airframe component linked. This is automatically generated when a new aircraft is loaded and cannot be changed or removed. As all work pack tasks must be linked to a component, components are also used for avionics, instruments, and other relevant types that may be used in different AMO environment. The aircraft hours and cycles are then recorded on the airframe component. Other components can be linked and removed as required. These components include new options such as engines, propellers, gearboxes, etc. This will now allow the setup an aircraft to reflect the actual configuration and remove unnecessary components and fields from the screen. Additional information must be recorded on a component level. The available detail options are: total hours, compulsory. Time since overhaul hours, default is true. Overhaul date, default is true. Cycles, default true. Time since overhaul cycles, default false. Cycles alternative, default false. Overhauled cycles alternative, default false. Cycles and/or landing data is required. These detail options must be configured for each component linked to an aircraft and can be found under the Config tab of the component form. The detail level of information recorded depends on the AMO, as this is merely a record function. This data has the additional advantage of being recorded on all work packs linked to the aircraft. The definition of cycles may be used at the discretion of the AMO, keeping in mind the minimum requirement on the logbook records. The alternative cycles field is available where more than one cycle parameter needs to be recorded. This can, for example, be used to record landings or maximum power cycles, etc. As the cumulative value is only recorded on the airframe level, the definition and implementation for cycles must be the same for all components linked to an aircraft. If alternative cycles are defined as landings on the airframe level, it cannot be power cycles on engine. All aircraft must have an airframe component, and this cannot be deleted. There may also only be one of each component type linked to aircraft registration. For example, two engine number 1 components cannot be linked to the registration. Usage. Usage recording is an important aspect of the aircraft data and must be accurately maintained. Usage refers to the recording of hours, cycles, overhaul dates, etc. for each component. This is then used for reporting on the aircraft. The usage values are also logged into a work pack when opened. It is important to keep a record of the values at the time of the work pack, even if the aircraft values are later updated. To simplify data capturing, hours and cycles are only recorded on the airframe level. These are then simply transferred to the other components linked to the aircraft. Under normal conditions, this is an accurate assumption. In the event that a component is replaced, you need to define the 0 and reference hours and cycles values for the component. Reference calculator. The calculation of reference values for components can be difficult to comprehend in the beginning. For this reason, all components other than airframes will display a calculator on the bottom of the page as soon as the Component Edit button is selected. Enter the actual component values. When the Calculate button is selected, the reference values will be entered into the component form. Simply select the Update command to store the values. Ensure that the airframe hours and cycles are up to date, as these are used to calculate the reference values. Generic aircraft. Not all AMOs work directly on aircraft. It is therefore possible to create a generic registration for the AMO, which will allow the adding of components, such as instruments and avionics, etc. In this type of application, there is no change to work packs and tasks linked to the component with a generic aircraft. There will be some limited functionality of usage and some reports might be irrelevant. Customers. Hover over Structure and select the Customer sub-menu option. This information is used to allow easy access to customer information on the AMS system. Customers are linked to work packs as well as aircraft. This allows aircraft to be moved from one customer to another, but still retain the information of the relevant customer at the time a work pack was opened. The work pack will, therefore, be linked to the customer at the time of the opening of the work pack, even if the aircraft has since moved to another customer. The quick links on the customer page will ease navigation to customer aircraft or work packs. Selecting work pack or aircraft from a quick link will filter the work packs and aircraft page when opened to the selected customer. Suppliers. The supplier pages manage the suppliers of spare parts, services, and freight. The supplier information is linked to all purchase orders and when inventory or services are received into AMS. A supplier can be registered to provide services in one or more categories. These categories are spare parts, services, and freight. If a certificate number is entered in the Commodity tab, the expiry date must be valid before new purchase orders can be placed with the supplier. Foreign currencies. Foreign currencies must be registered in the program to allow transactions in these currencies. The currencies are primarily used to keep track of inventory costs, as these currencies fluctuate against the default currency. The base or local currency should also be the default currency. Once the base currency has been set, it cannot be changed, as all transactions linked to the base currency will be incorrect. The exchange rate is calculated as the ratio between the local currency and the foreign currency. Exchange rates can be updated at any time and will be used to calculate part selling in local currency. The exchange rate for a part when received will be stored with the inventory entry. Future changes in the currency will therefore not change the original cost, but only future selling prices. Purchase orders must be in the currency that will be used when the item is received, i.e. the invoice currency. This will ensure that the landed cost will always match the invoice cost exactly in the currency of the landed invoice. The Forex tables provide for a user-defined abbreviation, but also for the international abbreviation for the currency. These abbreviations are defined in the ISO 4217 standard. The advantage of using these is that users will be allowed to update to the latest listed value for the exchange rate. This is intended to be used for updating store part selling prices. GRV receipts will be linked to a specified exchange rate that can be manually entered at the time of receipt. The work pack summary contains an invoice summary, which can be in the default currency of the customer linked to the work pack. The exchange rate used in the invoice summaries is linked to the rate provided in the foreign exchange page. Maintenance Manual Library. The AMS Manuals window allows users to maintain a basic database of relevant maintenance manuals. The OEM URL is recorded, together with login name and password. This allows all the maintenance manual information to be kept available in a central database, which is accessible to all users. The intention is that all manuals and support documents used by the AMO for servicing aircraft should be listed. In order to keep the latest revisions up to date, a list of revisions and changes is provided. Administrators are encouraged to check and review the manual library regularly. AMS eases this task by allowing immediate access to manual revisions on manufacturers' websites. When manual revisions are made, the revision date and status should be entered in the AMS database. The AMO should have a procedure in place whereby AME, planners and relevant staff are notified of the revisions. Links to work packs. AMS allows manual detail to be linked to work pack task cards for certification of tasks by the AME. As this data will have been revised over a period of time, it is essential that the history of manual revisions be kept. This enables the maintaining of links to previous work packs proving compliance at time of certification. It goes without saying that a work pack should not be certified if there is a manual, ISB or AD revision outstanding on the aircraft or component. If a task has been completed, the certifying AME must ensure that the revision does not affect the task prior to certification. It is the AME's sole responsibility to ensure that the tasks being certified are in compliance with the latest revision status. Should a revision become available after the completion of the work, the AME must satisfy himself that the revision does not affect the validity of the certification. Access to the manual editing is governed by the access role, card edit that is used to give users access to work pack task cards as well. A report is available to support library status.